Canada is a totalitarian state. Yes, you heard me right. Canada is a totalitarian state right now. And you can make all your jokes about a Russian girl calling out other countries on being totalitarian after you've heard the story which I'm about to tell. So I have a boyfriend, and unfortunately he lives in Canada now. And the last time I saw him was in March, right before this whole COVID nightmare has started. After my last visit I released this video, 5 things I like about Canada. You can watch it. Those were the good times. Now the situation is insane. Canada has immediately closed their borders, so I cannot go there on any condition. And for him, traveling to Europe is also very difficult because in general Europe doesn't let Canadians in unless there are special circumstances. For example, this summer we were thinking about meeting in Portugal, and Portugal actually does let the people in from the countries which have large Portuguese communities, and apparently Canada does. But it only works both ways. So if Canada was letting in the Portuguese people, then Portugal would be letting the Canadians in. But because Canada is not letting in anyone, that plan failed. Also, for him it's kind of difficult to get away from work for a long time because once a month he has to show up in the office to print the checks, because apparently Canada exists in the parallel universe where it's still the 15th century. Because I don't see any other reason why anyone would still be using checks in 2020. But now he kind of sorted out this check printing things with his colleagues, plus they're gonna be off for 2 weeks during the Christmas. So he finally was able to come here for a long period of time, and he got the tickets for a month. And we have prepared. I checked the official Finnish border control website, where it says that the foreigners are allowed to come to Finland if they are in a relationship with a Finnish citizen. Long-distance relationship count. But it wasn't enough. We actually did write an email to the Finnish border control to have this in writing that they confirm that he can come. And they did. We have an email which confirms that he can come to Finland because he's in a relationship with a Finnish citizen. So what can possibly go wrong, right? He gets to the airport 3 hours before departure, gets in a line. Everyone with the EU passport passes through. Everyone with the Canadian passport is taken to the side. So it was like 10 of them who were taking aside. Then 5 of them are released and allowed to board because they're married to European citizens, I guess. But the rest are just denied boarding. And of course those 5 people were outraged and asked to talk to someone. So they take them to talk to the Canadian border control. And they basically explain them that the airline company has the right to deny boarding, and then people are sent to the Canadian border control, who then makes a final decision. After the conversation with the first Canadian border control officer, 1 more person was allowed to board, but the 4 others, among which was my boyfriend, were not. And there was also a Romanian girl, I mean she has a Canadian passport and she was born in Canada, but originally she's Romanian, who was trying to travel to Germany to see her boyfriend. And she was just not taking a no for an answer, and she demanded to talk to someone else. So they take them to the second border control officer. And that second border control officer tells them that no, you're not allowed to board. Yes, you do have this official email from the Finnish border control, but there is no way to check whether you really are in a relationship. Really? There is no way? Oh, if only it would be possible to check the phone to see 500 million texts, to see the pictures, or I don't know, maybe just call me. And the funny thing is that they did actually check that I've been to Canada 5 times, that he has traveled to Europe several times, including Finland, and that somehow still wasn't enough. Basically, they didn't even try to find a solution. They made a decision before the conversation has even started. Checking whether him or that girl are in a relationship takes no effort at all. It takes 5 minutes, and then you can let the person go, the person who has a valid ticket, who has a permission from the country that he's traveling to go. But no, and this doesn't make any sense, and this is just inhumane. I would have understood this blunt approach if this pandemic was lasting, I don't know, a month, but it's been 9. You're not allowing people to see each other for 9 months, and it might last for another 6. There should be a way to travel if you really need to, okay, make this process complicated. Make it, I don't know, 15 steps process, which requires a lot of paperwork. But make it possible, because it's just, honestly, it is inhumane. But what they're doing now, they do not give you any guarantees. We tried calling many times before the flight to find out what are the rules, but the answer is always the same. Everyone said that we do not guarantee anything, go at your own risk. And then you pay $1,500 for a ticket and you're denied boarding. For no reason. Their reasoning does not make any sense. Because whether he's allowed to go to Finland or not, this is Finland's call, not Canada's call. If they wanted to make it right and they weren't sure about something, they should have called the Finnish border control, which would 100% confirm them that he can enter based on the relationship. They could have called me, so that I could confirm that I am his girlfriend, but they haven't done anything. And this is inhumane. Imagine not seeing your girlfriend or boyfriend for 9 months and having no way of doing that. And that Romanian girl has made a really good point, that there are no clear rules. When you try to check something beforehand, there is no way to find out. So then you come to the airport like an idiot and you are 100% dependable on this border control guy who doesn't give a fuck about your life situation and just decides to play God, abuse his power and violate human rights, basically. What is it if it's not a violation of human rights? Honestly, he was allowed by the destination country to go there. He had a valid ticket. How can he possibly be denied boarding? Isn't it abuse of power? And you feel so hopeless and powerless in the situation, because who are you gonna complain to? Like, who is gonna protect you? He said that for the first time in his life he felt like this defeated, weak, pathetic insect in front of this totalitarian machine, where no matter how right you are, some random dude in the uniform can do whatever he pleases with you, just because he's not in the mood that day or because he decided to play God. Well, both Canadian Border Control and Air Canada. But Air Canada has not surprised me at all in this situation. I told him not to fly with them, because in my personal opinion, this is the worst airline in the world. You can watch this video about my experience with them. By the way, that voucher that they gave me, it was absolutely useless. It already has expired, but I couldn't use it even if I wanted to, because you can only use it if you're buying the tickets. Oh my god. Because you can only use it if you buy the ticket at Air Canada website, but those tickets are so much more expensive than when you buy the ticket through search engine, that voucher doesn't make any difference. It's still cheaper to buy the tickets via the search engine than straight from Air Canada's website, even if you have the voucher for 25 or 50% discount, I don't remember. Anyway, how much Air Canada sucks, and they do, is not the topic of this video, so let's go back to the topic of this video. Talking about totalitarian states, Russia. You're not allowed to leave Russia more than once, I mean right now, during this pandemic, but if you really have the reasons, there are exceptions. I myself have traveled to Russia during this time, and I know of a girl who has a boyfriend in Finland and she's in Russia, and guess what? She's allowed to visit him. And when Russian border control is unsure, guess what do? They call the Finnish border control to check whether Finland is willing to accept the traveler. For example, there was this rumor at some point that those who have property in Finland, they're allowed to come to manage it. But it was still not 100% sure, as everything is with this pandemic. So whenever people would show up at the border, the Russian border control officers, they would actually call the Finnish border control officers to ask whether they should let this person go or not. Why Canadian one could not do the same? Why they couldn't call the Finnish border control if they're so unsure? And even if they're unsure, how is that their business? Why not just let the person travel, and then if he's not allowed to enter, then it's his problem? Why do you need to just not let him go? This Canadian airline staff and those 500 border control officers that he talked to should have just done the same. They should have called the Finnish border control, who would totally confirm them that he can come. But why bother? Let's just deny the boarding to a person who paid $1,500 for his ticket and who hasn't seen his girlfriend in 9 months. I don't know, this whole thing is insane. It sounds illegal, to be honest. I mean, the person has a valid ticket. The destination country is okay with him coming. He has an official email from the Finnish border control that he's good to go. It would have taken 5 minutes to get any kind of proof in the world that he really does have a girlfriend in Finland, but no, they just choose to detain him in Canada against his will. What is it if not a pure totalitarianism? I don't know, when all of this was happening, I actually cried. I got really upset. This thing was way more upsetting for me than the robbery that I experienced a week ago or the flood that happened in my apartment about 2 months ago. I've made videos about both of these amazing stories. And you know, it's not like he's casually traveling back and forth every second week. He hadn't left Canada in 9 months. And now he had a good reason and he was going for a long period of time. So it was just really mean and cruel not to let him go. And what comes to that Romanian girl, she already had COVID in June, so not allowing her to move around makes absolutely zero sense. But try explaining that to the Canadian border control officers. I don't know, these people are just mean and heartless and lazy and cruel, and I really hope that they will spend their lives alone, that their closest creature will be their toaster, and the highlight of their romantic life will be the discovery of abilities of their right hand. I'm being mean because I'm really upset right now. And I don't know, Canada has this reputation about being the friendliest country in the world, and maybe when it comes to regular people, I don't know that many Canadians, to be honest, but the staff of Air Canada and Canadian border control officers, they're like the meanest people I've ever had to deal with in my life. I still feel uncomfortable when I remember how I was treated at the border control in my first 2 visits to Canada. They were talking to me like they were 100% sure that I'm coming to Canada illegally to be a drug dealer for kindergarten kids and to be a hooker as a side job. And I mean, I was traveling with a Finnish passport. Finland has a similar or even higher standard of living than Canada. So what was that paranoia about? Was it really that necessary to treat me like a piece of shit at the border? And I mean, the US is the one who is being famous for being paranoid about everyone trying to move there illegally. So I would expect their border control to be that brutal. But no, in comparison to the Canadian ones, they're sweethearts. They did ask me some questions, but I still felt like there's some basic respect for me as a human being while dealing with them, unlike I felt during my first 2 visits to Canada. Sorry, this is just my experience. When it was my 3rd, 4th and the 5th visit, it got better, but still far away from ideal. Anyway, what do you think? Do you think it's too much to ask to see your boyfriend for the first time in 9 months? Do you think it's too much to ask to be made aware of the game rules that we have to follow in order to be able to travel when you have a really valid reason? Don't you agree with me that what they've done is a violation of human rights, it's abuse of power, and it's an attempt to play God? Because it was absolutely clear that he can go, that he will be able to cross the Finnish border successfully, yet they still denied him the boarding for no reason at all. I see absolutely no reason, but for them to feel, I don't know, important or powerful or something. Anyway, sorry for this negative video, but I was really upset last night. I cried and it's just insane and inhumane, and I am disappointed in this world. Leave your comments, let me know what you think. Do you think there is a point of complaining somewhere? I was thinking, I don't know, some human rights organization, or maybe the management of Canadian border control or something, because it's just like you cannot treat people this way. Okay, I'm gonna end this video. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening to one more of my rants. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.